a meeting that I'll never forget was the formation meeting for the Soninke Partnership. There were about 30 different organizations present. We had done a long exploration work, getting to know people, sharing information about partnership principles, and getting them to the place where they were all enthusiastic to meet. And we met in a mission guest house in the town of Kai in western Mali. And we had 4 days just to work through the formation of this partnership together. Now, at the beginning, we decided the important thing, since many people hadn't met any of the others before, was to introduce ourselves, explain our ministry and our particular interests. So after we got going, 2 or 3 people had shared. An American young man, very well qualified linguist, a doctorate, and having trained at the Wycliffe course, explained with great deal of passion how he had felt the call of God to come to West Africa and translate the scriptures into the Soninke language. And he was now about to start on learning Soninke, committing it to writing, and then translating the scriptures. After 2 or 3 others had spoken, a German young man expressed a very similar vision. He had less academic qualifications in translation, but had a lot of experience of practical translation work in a number of European languages, and had come to Mali with the express purpose of translating the scriptures into Soninke. And after 2 or 3 other people had spoken, a British lady who actually lived in Kai itself explained that she had come with that same purpose. She had translated the scriptures into another language previously in West Africa, and she was coming under the auspices of the SIL to do just that for the Soninke language. Now, by this time, all 3 were looking distinctly uncomfortable with each other. And at the coffee time, the American came to me and said, I think we've got a problem here. And said, look, there are 3 of us doing exactly the same thing. What are we going to do about it? Well, there wasn't much space in the program. It was very tightly scheduled. But Kai is actually one of the hottest places on the face of the earth. And we had scheduled a 2-hour siesta after lunch. So I said, look, are you prepared to forego your siesta? And the 3 of you can meet with me, and we can I can simply facilitate a conversation between you to see how this would work through. Didn't have any real idea at that point what needed to be done, other than to make sure that we didn't triplicate the translation work. It would create incredible confusion if we had a different orthography for the language, used different theological terms for the Soninke word for atonement or sanctification or whatever. And if we tripled it, it would make the cost absolutely prohibitive. So we needed to find a way of smoothing that down to one translation. Well, when the 3 of them got together, there was no ill will whatsoever. They all had the same vision. They all wanted to achieve the same things. So they agreed, first of all, that they would work together to establish a common orthography, and they would agree the orthography. If any 2 of them agreed, the 3rd agreed that he would or she would submit to the majority opinion, and they would have an ongoing regular contact between them as the orthography for the language was established. And then they decided that they should have a conference, perhaps 6 to 8 months later, for all Christian Soninke speakers to find out what were the most appropriate theological terms. Most Soninke were Muslim, and therefore their theological language was colored by Islam. And it was important that the theological terms used in the scriptures either matched correctly the Muslim understanding of what that word meant, or used a different word altogether, so that they would have to import the meaning and give the meaning a strictly Christian sense. And then the most exciting thing of all, without me making the suggestion, they agreed between them that they would divide through the books of the Bible, first of all starting with the New Testament and then later working on the Old Testament, so that each of them would be working on a different part of the Bible, and there wouldn't be any duplication at all in the process. So at the end of what was essentially a 2-hour rest break after lunch, we finished up cutting the bill by about $2 million, because Wycliffe estimated that on average, taking a new language from zero to the publication of a New Testament is about $1 million worth of investment. We cut the bill by 2/3, and we had also cut the time it would take to get the translation finished for the Soninke people, and we'd avoided all of the mess that would have been created by having a different approach at these key areas of orthography and key theological terms. And so that meeting, if it achieved nothing else, purely in the area of translation, had been a massive, effective piece of cooperation between these different agencies.